This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use, but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinema. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today we're going to a movie that many people in the world are going to see. It's called Deadpool and Wolverine. It's just released. It's the latest and only movie being released this year by Marvel Studios. And it is the third Deadpool movie. Kathy, how are you feeling about this?
Well, I wanted to go see Twister, so...
Twisters. By the way, I want to see that too.
But we've been on holidays for 2 weeks. You may have noticed a break on the feed. We've taken 2 weeks off the podcast and we are back. And Wolverine and Deadpool won tonight. We shall see Twisters next. I liked the first Deadpool movie. I didn't see the second one. I definitely thought the first one was very funny. I really like Ryan Reynolds. I really like Hugh Jackman. I think it looks fun. I think the promo stuff they've been doing is fun. I also understand why people get irritated by all the references and talking to camera. I can see why it annoys people. I certainly enjoyed the first one. Don't know where I'll land on this one though. Haven't watched a full trailer for it, but I've seen a lot of the kind of skits and stuff they're doing online. Dave.
Yeah, the marketing for this movie has been just
high level marketing.
Blitzed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And fair play to them. The marketing campaign, I think, has been very good and pervasive.
But when you're only releasing one movie in a year, you could put a lot of money behind that movie.
That's true.
Right? If you think Marvel used to have 5, 6, 7 movies a year.
No, 3. Well, this is the problem, okay? And I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna lay out now the groundwork from why I'm grizzly right now and why my expectations are low.
And yet you chose this over Twisters.
Yes, because you have to. Everyone is going to see this weekend, right? Everyone saw Twisters 2 weekends ago.
We missed it.
You gotta have your finger on the pulse, Kathy. It's Deadpool and Wolverine weekend. Now I am not very excited about this movie. If this was 5 years ago, I would be massively excited. But
a lot of people
has changed in 5 years.
But a lot of people saying the fact that there's been such a big gap is actually a good thing.
Yeah, that is good. But let me lay out a few reasons for why I'm not pumped. Number one, I think I, like a lot of fans of Marvel, the MCU, have noticed a significant decline in quality and a massive increase in quantity.
You don't have to be a fan
Endgame.
of the MCU to have made
We've
the same
all observed
observation.
that. It's been just like a dearth of junk, non-stop, just bashed over the head with disappointment after disappointment, and some stuff which is just should never have met the grade.
For the record, Your Honour, see Exhibit A, the most recent Ant-Man movie. We move on.
Yeah, just that. But all the TV stuff, I mean, I don't think I've really enjoyed all that much since Endgame, which was one of my favourite cinematic experiences of my whole life. So and it just feels like the tide has turned against superhero movies, and they're just getting it wrong. So that whole universe, and I personally am checked out. I'm just not invested or excited to the point where I used to be. Secondly, I feel like this movie is just going to lean on cameo after cameo after cameo, and that also does nothing for me anymore because it's just been played out. Number 3, Ryan Reynolds, who I am a fan of, and by the way, also I'm a fan of Deadpool 1 and 2. But now I feel like I have had enough Ryan Reynolds in my life. He needs to do something different. His shtick I'm being bashed over the head with his shtick. And
well, Exhibit A, in his defence, was a bit different for him.
No, If was too much Ryan Reynolds. Sorry, I'm just I like Ryan Reynolds. I admire him, and I think he deserves every success he's made of himself. He's turned himself into a brand as well. And he's got a gin, and he's got an advertising agency, and all these things. So kudos to him. But his movie roles have just been stagnating for a long time. I'm thinking. And I'm going to throw Shawn Levy under the bus here as well, the director of this movie, who directed things like Free Guy and The Adam Project, and just bland after boring, Ryan Reynolds movies in which he's just the same sarcastic, quippy, sardonic. He's basically Deadpool, but sometimes he's not R-rated.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm tired of that. And I also and I find the comedy of Deadpool a bit exhausting. And also we're now, like in 2016, I think, when this movie was released, it was very fresh and
Well, it was
original.
like the first R-rated
Yeah.
comic
Well,
book
it wasn't
movie,
the first
right?
R-rated comic book movie, but it was the first big tentpole Marvel R-rated movie.
Right, yeah.
It was poking fun at itself. It was very meta. We're now
was
8
funny.
years. I would say we're now in a post-meta world, thanks to things like the Lego movie and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and the Lord and Miller show. They're like everything is commenting on media to a point. So this is not new or fresh or original anymore. And I'm just tired. I'm tired of all of it. And so that's where I'm at. Sorry, everyone, but I'm
You're forcing me to go to it, and then you're negging me down ahead of it.
That's right. But look, I realize I'm just bringing my own moody baggage to this movie.
You
And
are.
all I want is if this movie can just make me laugh a few times and entertain me, then I
I'm
will
looking
be.
for that.
Then I will be satisfied. But
think Hugh
I'm
Jackman-
disappointed that I'm not as hyped as I, a former huge fan of the MCU, should be.
If it wasn't Hugh Jackman and it was just like Deadpool, I'd be bored. But I mean, I've missed the second Deadpool anyway, so I probably presume I didn't miss anything by missing it.
I mean, that had
The
some
third one-
great gags that
but
I
I'm
remember.
But never mind the gags. I'm just saying I'm excited that this is like I think having Wolverine in it is really clever. I
Yeah.
presume it's from a comic or whatever,
Yeah.
but I just think it's a good, like, legitimate reason to be excited.
Yeah, I guess it's a point of difference
Yeah.
compared to the previous.
Like, the last Wolverine movie was amazing. Like, incredible.
Logan was great.
So now I'm like, but when's this set? Now, we'll save that kind of conversation for a spoiler street. But that was a fantastic film, Logan. So we're
Yeah.
coming off a high on that. And my last one that I saw, Deadpool 1, granted I've only seen it once at the time it came out, I'm still, like, I'd rate that as an enjoyable cinema experience. So I'm coming in hot on this
Yeah,
one.
come on, movie. Please cheer me up and prove me wrong.
Prove him wrong. Stop him complaining. And another thing that looks good for Marvel this year, I do have to say, is basically the first and best of their TV shows was WandaVision,
Yeah.
followed closely by Loki, and then it fell off a cliff. But Agatha is coming out this Halloween, which is kind of a sequel / prequel, I'm not sure, to WandaVision.
Oh, yeah,
so I
but-
feel like this year they're like, you know what, we're only putting out like the goods. They've reined it in.
Well, the new Bob,
They've popped onto
the new Bob
themselves.
at the head of Disney, who was the old Bob, came in and he's like, "Hang on, everyone, what are we
He
doing?"
basically said, lads, cop on.
So, yeah.
Stop releasing things every month that are crap.
Certainly seems like a better tactic,
Yeah.
you know. And he said, I think he released it in a statement, like, "We're going to focus on making good stuff," as if that was a great,
Shocking news.
you know, suddenly a revelation to them.
Anyway, here we go. We're coming to the cinema, and we shall see you after the movie.
See you soon.
Life is a mystery.
I don't know anything about saving worlds, but you do.
Trust me, kid, I'm no hero. You were an X-Man. You were the X-Man. I am soaking wet right now.
Boys are so silly.
This is what I'm talking about. Big slow motion action sequence. Who knows if you live or die? Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Okay, hi listeners, we're back.
Hello.
And we have seen Deadpool and Wolverine. If it's your first time here on the Cinemile, there are no spoilers for this movie until, of course, we get to Spoiler Street, at which time there will be spoilers and you will be warned.
Spoilers for every Deadpool movie and a lot of
Wow, your brain's not really working. That movie did
spoilers
a number
for
on you, huh?
for like 100
Are you
movies.
okay?
Spoilers for like 100 superhero
Spoilers
movies.
for all the superhero
Yeah.
movies ever.
Yeah, basically. Because
Kathy-
there's a lot of superhero movie references in this movie.
So, Kathy, what did you think of that film?
I had a really good time. I was concerned when we walked in because the room stank and was really hot and was full of sweaty, like, teenagers. Like, sorry, but it was. And I looked up.
There was a smell, right?
I was like, "Are there any women in here?" And I looked around and I saw one woman, and she was already asleep before
the movie
even
had started.
Now, as I adjusted to the dimness of the room, I did see other women in the peripheral, but it was a very male room.
You're right. It had the smell. If anyone has ever had the misfortune, like myself, to spend many male sleepovers as teenagers, or young, that's the smell of lots of men in a room.
And
together.
it's funny because, like, we won't name and shame, but this is the cinema when we go in winter where we've literally gone and begged staff to put heating on because it's like you've seen your breath in the air. It's been so cold.
I think they finally answered our call.
They
put the heating on in July.
They put the heating on because the rest of the cinema was cold. Like, our screen was
So
inexplicably hot. It's not even a hot day. Like, it's not a hot day. Anyway, that aside, the film, I had a really good time. I really enjoyed myself. I think, like, I actually really enjoyed the central plot as someone who did enjoy Loki season 1. I think it was good to have seen Loki season 1. Loki season 2, we never even finished. Don't think it mattered.
I think, Kathy, people are so sensitive about plot spoilers. Don't say anything about the plot for this movie.
I won't
all.
say anything about the plot. I'm just saying.
No, don't even say what it's referencing to things, because that's how touchy people are.
Okay, but it's referenced like a million things. That's only one of the things. So anyway.
So mention 0 of them is what I'm saying.
Well, I feel like it's helped me that over the years I've watched a lot of Marvel and Fox stuff. I think that did help me in this film.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that you'd come into this film cold and have a clue what was going on. Hugh Jackman, I love him. I forgot how much I loved him as Wolverine. Love to see him. I think they're great together. I think, like, there's heart to the film, which I really liked. I think the film, we were worried about it being maybe a bit cynical or a bit meta. I think it was meta but with heart.
Yes.
And I think it was, like, referential but in a good way. Like, the hit rate on jokes, like, I wouldn't say, like you're talking 3 or 4 jokes, if not 5 a minute. I was not by no means laughing at all the jokes, but, like, I did get a few laughs. Some of the jokes didn't really land for me. I don't think they're particularly good. Some of the jokes did make me laugh. So, like, but I would say the teenage audience loved it. And then you've made me afraid of spoilers, and that's all I'm going to say. But, like, I had a good time, and I think they did a really nice job. And there was some really cool visuals that I'll talk about in Spoiler Street. Great.
I'm with you. I thought this was great. I had a blast. It's really, really fun. I loved it. I actually loved it. And you know what? To address all my previous concerns. And the movie did. The movie, as soon as I think 30 seconds into the movie, I just relaxed because I was like, "Oh, this is good."
I mean, it opens on such a good scene.
It has a great opener.
Such a good opener.
And I just felt like I was in safe hands. And here's to recircle back on all my concerns. Number one, I still think the MCU is tired, but I think using something like Deadpool, which is meta, allowed it to address that fact head on and acknowledge it and hold their hands up, and they address all the problems, and we'll get to that in spoilers, which doesn't forgive the problems, but at least it's acknowledging them. Secondly, what I think I appreciated most is that this isn't an MCU film, it's a 20th century Fox film, and it has, as you said, a lot of heart and sincerity, and I wasn't expecting that because I was there for X-Men in 2000 at age 16 in the cinema, and I've been with Hugh Jackman that whole time, and I've watched all those movies, good and bad, and this felt like a real nice send-off.
It did, yeah.
To all of those films, and it doesn't really touch on the MCU too much at all, so I liked that, and I wasn't expecting it.
And I watched a lot of bad Fox superhero movies in my day for some reason.
This made me like them more, even the bad ones.
God, I must go back and watch that one again.
I know, which I think might be a bad idea. So that's the other thing. The cameos didn't feel just shoehorned in like a lot of the MCU. I think the MCU at its worst is just like, here's another face you recognize from another thing. But it felt like it had some good pulls, but they all felt meaningful, and they did something with them, and they were good.
Loved the cameos.
Yeah, they were great. They were really good.
Yeah.
So, and thirdly, Ryan Reynolds was fantastic in this.
See, the thing is about Ryan Reynolds,
this character, I forgot how good he is as this character, and he reminded me as soon from the off. I was like, he just has
he's so good.
He has the comic timing, and I think the other thing that's missing from his other performances from, and again I'm going to call out the bad ones, If, The Adam Project, Red Notice I haven't seen, but it just looks like this kind of same shtick. I think when you let him go R-rated, he's more entertaining for some reason. That just like he's good at swearing.
He is good at swearing. Also, I will defend The Adam Project. I really enjoyed that film.
It's a bad film.
I really enjoyed it.
It's a very bad film.
And the thing with Ryan Reynolds is, yes, he's overexposed, but then he's brilliant in everything he's in. So once you park that, you're like, he's overexposed, like a bit like Ryan Gosling.
But he's not. But he's not. Sorry, and that's not my point. No, that's not my point. He's not brilliant in everything he's in. If anything, he's bland and boring and doing the same shtick. That was my point. But in Deadpool, that's his character, and he nails it.
He's perfect. Like he's born to play Deadpool.
Exactly. And lastly, yeah, you said it, but Hugh Jackman. It's just like, he never tires of this role. I'll never tire of him in this role. And him and Deadpool together is a fantastic combo. They know they've got dynamite on the hand.
I mean, they're brilliant.
And the movie. But also the other thing, what I admire, the director Shawn Levy, who I also said I threw under the bus and did make The Adam Project, and it is bad, did a great job here as well. There's great action in this. The movie is much better than it needed to be. They could have just had Deadpool and Wolverine.
But they'd have never done that though.
Going back and forth for 2 hours, but we
like
get that.
Ryan
They built actual heart and character around it, and the serious stuff lands and the funny stuff lands.
But like Ryan
so
Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were not going to team up, I don't think, after all this buzz for a mediocre movie. Especially Ryan Reynolds is all over it. He's written it, he's produced it. Like,
yeah, but sometimes people try and it fails. But I felt like everyone was working at a high quality game for this movie.
And it's
everybody.
Because I'm so like, I've watched the X-Men cartoon. Like I know all the X-Men stuff. I know all the Fox stuff. I know all the Marvel stuff. But I'm not like in it, you know. But I've seen it all. So like, probably a higher than average knowledge of it. But by no means at like a nerdy level like you are. But seeing Wolverine in the suit is so cool. Like, because see, I never knew he hadn't. Like, if you'd asked me, I wouldn't have known he hadn't worn the suit in the films. But I know the suit from the cartoons.
Yeah, not even that.
Like, I never would have known that. But then seeing him in it, I got such a kick out of it because, of course, I know the cartoon.
The films make reference to... There's like the films have been commenting on their own pop culture history for a long time. So in the first X-Men film in 2000, Cyclops says brings out the suits and it's all black leather, and Hugh Jackman says... leather, and he says, what were you expecting, yellow spandex? So they've been in conversation with their history. And then X-Men 97, the recent brilliant animated comic, reversed it, and this movie is now like it's almost like this. They're acknowledging that they're more comfortable in their comic book roots, because the X-Men film in 2000 was quite self-conscious, and it was one of the first ever superhero films, or 2001 or whatever.
Yeah, it was one of the first in a long time.
It was the first, I think. It was the first big one of this modern era, because the 90s couldn't get it right at all.
Yeah, and of course they used to be much more like sincere and serious when you talk about like Christopher Reeves or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I loved all that stuff. I think we should go to spoilers because I'm afraid of referencing any spoilers on this one.
I'm afraid of you referencing any spoilers. So yeah, let's do that.
Spoilers. And right before we go, we do want to mention that we're doing our first live podcast since 2019.
Yeah. There was a whole pandemic happened in the middle.
Yeah, something happened. I don't know what happened there. So we are doing a live show in the Cork Podcast Festival. Sunday the 15th of September, 5:30 p.m. in the Cork Opera House. So come see us. We'll put a link on the show notes, or you can just look up the Cork Podcast Festival. You'll see us there. There's loads of other great acts. And we will be back after Spoiler Street. You may hear a quick break.
See you then.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Okay, hi, we're back. It's suddenly gone very quiet here, and it's late, and I don't want to be shouting
spoilers.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
We've
spoilers.
already given spoilers, but like spoilers for just everything, right? That's all we can say. Don't get cross at us if you hear spoilers.
Yeah, you're here now. If you please have seen the movie, and don't get mad.
Yeah.
So we're going to spoil it now.
Before we get into like this super spoilery stuff, just giving someone time to like, take out their earphones or whatever. There's something about the tone of the film that I'm not sure, and I now need to go and read, because I haven't seen any reviews for it yet, but I now need to go and read.
They're all over the map.
What gay men think of this film. Because I felt like it was very provocative, but in the way of like two straight men kind of queer baiting, like, oh, but we could be gay. Or like I know that like Deadpool's like pansexual or whatever, but I don't know. I don't have no comment to make other than I want to read what gay men have to say about this film.
I'd say the movie's the movie's definitely playing with it.
But it's playing with
Feels
it.
like it is.
But it's with two, well, nominally straight men and essentially straight characters, because I don't know. I just found all that stuff interesting. That's what I'm going to say in it. Like, I need to go off and like read like what gay people think.
I would say the whole the fight in the car in the Honda.
I love that scene.
Was incredible. It was a great fight scene.
Good.
Absolutely brilliant. But it plays like a sex scene.
Sort of. No, that scene.
It does. It cuts away.
Yeah, I'm not referencing that scene.
And then
actually
comes back, and they're lying in bed together. It's like a violence is like sex for these two characters.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I'm not actually referencing that scene at all. I just love that stuff. I thought of that as well, like as like a dance two people are having together.
Yeah.
It was more like the sequence when they came to say, when the TSA people came to like capture him. That whole bit in the hall, I was just like, wait, what's going on here? I couldn't figure out if it was offensive or not. So yeah, that was.
You were looking for things to be offended
No,
about?
I wasn't. I was genuinely like, I want to hear perspective of someone who isn't me, a straight woman, about this, or you, a straight man.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
All perceptions welcome. Please
Yeah,
let us know.
let us know what you think.
thecinemaile@gmail.com.
Let us know what you think, because I genuinely don't know the answer, and I could be wrong, and maybe no one's offended and everyone just thinks like it's really good fun.
Someone's going to be offended. This movie is deliberately being provocative and trying to be offensive,
but it's kind
right?
of tamely provocative. There was only one joke that I flat out didn't land for me, which was like basically a paedophilia joke about the scouts.
Scout camp, yeah.
Didn't
but
get it.
I think
why
that's
or how that got into the
I
film.
agree. I didn't find it funny either.
And our audience laughed, and I just thought, what is wrong with people?
But I think that's also a running joke. That doesn't forgive it, but I believe it's a running joke.
Okay, that was the only time for me the humour was way off. But anyway, all that aside, in terms of the plot, what do you think of it?
The plot, well, let's forget the plot. Let's talk about all the cameos. And I can't believe I'm saying
What,
that.
you don't want to talk about the
But
plot?
they were
They
great.
even reference the low-key TV show in it.
Okay, fine. Yeah, the fact I laughed. You said it was like like what was it? 1 out of 5 jokes was making you laugh. I thought the hit rate was very high.
But I think
this
I laughed a lot,
functions as a great comedy.
It does, but like there's probably 1,000 jokes in the film. So,
But I laughed a lot.
I
I laughed out loud so
I
many
laughed at
times.
the Loki joke. The Loki goes
The
like
Loki,
Loki
that was
season
so
1 episode
funny.
5 or whatever.
That just pointed to the absurdity of how many things that they've made.
Yeah, it really
and how
did.
specific the references now have to be.
And all the stuff about pruning timelines, I was like nearly triggered back to when we tried to watch season 2 of Loki.
Oh, stop! It was terrible. Although good finale. But here's what I think this movie is trying. Now we don't have a sense of where the MCU is going, and I think that's been part of the problem. Like, you used to build up to Avengers movies, and you had a sense they were introducing characters, and they're all going to team up. Firstly, I have no sense right now from the MCU who are going to be the characters in the Avengers films. Is it the Young Avengers? Is it Captain America? It's like I don't know who's even in it, who the threat is. I know nothing, and I don't think anyone else does.
I think the Captain Marvel. Is it those 3 from the Captain Marvel movie?
You tell me. So nobody knows. It's directionless. It's rudderless.
It's definitely the Young Marvel. Like they're trying to bring the teenagers up, but like nobody cares.
No, but they're
enough.
trying to do that. They're trying to do the Marvels. There's too many things. There's too many strings. Nothing's coming together. So, and on top of that, they've done all this multiverse stuff, which I think hasn't landed, and that's what this movie is saying. And they outright said it.
Yeah, I really
enjoyed
that.
At the end, they said people are fed, and I think Spider-Verse got there first with Sony, and then Everything Everywhere All at Once. You know, it's played out. So this is. I felt like this was Marvel Studios, and also they had the thing with Jonathan. What's his name? The guy
Kang.
who's Kang. Yeah. What's the name of that actor who's been embroiled in a domestic
he's basically
abuse
been,
scandal.
like,
So he's been fired. He's gone. So
they're not recasting. I'd say, like, I think.
No, so it's a disaster. It's all in tatters. And I feel like this movie is saying, No, firstly, we're getting rid of all multiverses. Just forget it, because it's also gets rid of. It's just reduces all stakes. Multiverses should only be for films like this to go to a playground and have fun in.
But
you
I think
can't
the
have
thing
meaning
is, though,
from them.
I think it's a tall order to ask them to completely get rid of multiverses, because then when a multiverse works, it really works. Like for me, the whole sequence in this film when he's going around pulling out all the different Logans.
That's a fun sequence, yeah.
So yeah, it works as a sequence, but hanging your whole universe around it just becomes really dizzying and nauseating, and like who can follow what's happening, and no one ever dies and all that stuff.
But
I can see why writers want to use it, but like every individual writer or director will want it in their film, but en masse it's horrific, and I think you're right, they should just cut it.
Exacerbates the problem that the Marvel movies have anyway, which is that death doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And death doesn't matter because you just go and have a montage and you get a new Wolverine. And that's fine, but I think what this movie does well is it manages to, in that muddle, find some stakes by making them smaller. He just wants to save his 9 friends, which I didn't necessarily believe the friendship from one birthday scene, but whatever. I bought in that
he told us.
He wanted. Yeah, he told us, and I was
he
like,
said everyone in the whole world
enough.
I love is in this room, and I think that's like.
And that was
fine.
enough, and I think it was enough sort of heart. And then I liked what they did with Logan's plot, that all the X-Men died and he wasn't there, and he blames himself.
And I actually like bringing back Professor Xavier's sister.
Yes,
that was good. Thought she was a good villain.
I don't think she'd ever been in any of them before. Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone.
I mean, who can say?
I think she's a brand new character.
Who can say?
But also, sorry, what a great idea to bring Chris Evans in as his Johnny Storm character.
So clever.
So good.
So funny. And what a cool way to visualise like getting inside someone's brain instead of just Professor X sitting there squinting his eyes.
Oh, that was so creepy.
She's actually getting her hands in there.
Yeah, especially when it was in he was doing all sorts of things in Matthew McFadden's head.
It was amazing. Like they were honestly great special effects.
Yeah, and Matthew McFadden was a lot of fun in this.
He's great fun, of course, as always. So I think actually the plot hung together. There was just a point where I started to say, I'm getting a bit bored now, and then Ryan Reynolds actually turns to the screen and goes, "Don't worry, it's nearly over."
It's like they knew it.
They know.
They knew.
And the other thing that this film did, that in my living memory, I can't think that another Marvel movie has done. No big third act,
laser
huge
beams,
CGI, boring fight scene. The third act is actually them fighting all the Deadpools, which is just fun, really fun, and
really
that
good.
bus sequence is amazing, and them jumping out of the bus and all that.
Yeah, well done. The action choreography was fantastic
so
in this movie.
good. Like all the fight scenes were so good. But then the big third act thing is actually the two of them, kind of both loners. One wants a team, never had one. One had a team, blames himself for their death. Kind of teamed up and holding hands and like a prayer.
To Madonna's Like a Virgin.
And you're just watching them, and you're like, I was shockingly invested in them in that moment. And I thought, it's like Marvel. You're saying they've learned the lesson about the multiverse. They've also learned the lesson about it is not interesting for us to watch 40 actors in front of green screens shooting at aliens, trying to save the world. Like nobody cares. It's so dull. And this is just Ryan Reynolds trying to get back to his girlfriend, basically, and Wolverine trying to do right by Professor X.
And just by having two people in holding hands in a serious moment, and then just throwing some montage flashbacks over that's effective. That's all you need.
And it was funny when they showed Hugh Jackman's pecs and all that stuff. The humor, they still managed to inject the humor into a very powerful moment, which is hard to do successfusly, and I would argue they did do it successfully.
And this movie deserves credit for balancing its tone excellently. I thought it was just really well. It was heartfelt when it needed to be, then would be instantly funny without undercutting the sincerity of the moment that just happened, which has been my consistent issue
100%.
With Marvel movies, and something that Taika Waititi, brackets, as much as I love him, has perpetuated badly.
Oh yeah, the Thor movies really ruined
the Thor movies. The latter Thor movies ruined the tone by the comedy doesn't it tips the scales and the drama doesn't work.
The little girl from Logan coming back, we didn't even mention. What a great...
Yes, Daphne Keane.
She's so good.
Yeah.
And how good to have her come back and be it was never the right Logan though, or he was never the right man for the job, and just kind of like to him, you
It's a
may
good
not
line.
think you're the right man for the job, but like I know you can do it because I know you.
Yeah.
And I just thought like having her come back added kind of gravitas, because again, not to undo stuff like the Logan movie and spoilers for the Logan movie, was quite serious and like quite harrowing by the end.
This
and, like,
movie
very
spoiled the
meaningful.
Logan movie. If
yeah,
you've
well,
seen this
movie
movie.
spoils it.
Yeah.
But they managed to do all this without undoing that film, which is no mean feat.
But and that's the first line of dialogue, which I love. He's like, now I know what you're worried about. You know, how are we going to get around the Logan thing, and are we going to do honor to that? And then he literally digs up his grave and plays with his corpse.
I mean, that was
like
so funny.
That was just had me
Every
straight
part of
away.
it
That's
is like-
so funny, and it was brilliantly done. Like the credit sequence coming up on parts of
Yeah, I love that.
Wolverine's adamantium
So
skeleton. It's just like,
and then like Hugh Jackman's name comes over like Wolverine's like skull. I just think, in fairness to them, it's so much better than I would have expected. Like, we're both so far gone and annoyed by these franchises. We, like, you know, we're by no means sitting around waiting for like a Wolverine and Deadpool movie, but it felt like an event.
No,
actually, because they kept teeing it up and saying like, he's like, oh come on nerds, you're gonna love this one, and then you're like, God, it's gonna be a really good fight, because he's just told me it's gonna be a really good fight. Like, him hyping it up within the movie worked for me to make me more invested as someone who's never known that they were ever in comics together, or never cared about them as a duo.
And also that meta stuff didn't derail the movie or make it less meaningful, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, so good.
But I loved what a love letter it was to
all the Fox
all the Fox stuff, and we got Blade, we got Elektra,
I was so happy when Elektra came.
Even the Fox stuff that never was, like Channing Tatum as Gambit, which I thought had some of the funniest stuff, like his accent. Like, it was always, I don't think if that movie had ever happened, Channing Tatum would have done the accent. But the fact that they just leaned into his Cajun accent, and Channing Tatum, I don't know if deliberately or that was his best attempt, but just such a bad accent.
I think he kept changing what his accent
And the way
was.
it was
I was so
incomprehensible
excited.
made me laugh so much.
I never watched Elektra, but I've always meant to watch it out of like solidarity, that I felt so bad for her about like how critically panned it was and like how embarrassing the whole thing was. And I love that she came in. It was like when Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds were fighting in front of the like upside down 20th century Fox, like the vision of that was quite spectacular.
Yeah.
Really clever. And like, I know it's so corny, but like at the end when they during the credits they played all the like clips,
the B-roll from all the movies.
From all the Fox
that was great.
movies. And then they played like Green Day Time of Your Life, which is so corny, but like I don't know, kind of got me a bit. Like,
well, I gotta say, all the needle drops in the movie were really good.
Yeah, really
except that one, which is the most on the nose thing. But maybe that's
but
okay.
then it's nice
Maybe.
because they're
it
like,
was
do you know
nice.
what? We're having a corny moment, and we're not gonna like ironically play a song.
It made
you know what
me.
I mean?
It made me. I mean, I was watching that, and even the Fantastic Four remake, which is one of the most widely regarded as
it's
one of the worst
films
movies
I've ever seen.
made. Even I was looking at that, going, "Oh."
I mean, that's.
Wasn't it nice that they made the Fantastic Four again?
I went to see that with my sister once.
I remember.
And we were like, what's
Why
happening?
did you go to that?
Why does her hair keep changing in every scene? Like, they couldn't even be bothered adjusting the wigs right. They were just like, lads, forget about it.
Yeah.
They just gave up on it. So it's giving like a bit of more weight than some of the films deserve. But like, once you see a young Patrick Stewart, you're like, I'm here for it, you know.
Well, actually, that's one area I thought was a little underserved, was the Matthew Vaughn X-Men films with James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. We didn't get much. I think there was a red deviled character in
that's
that
the only one I recognise.
who was kind of.
But in fairness, like, the point wasn't to bring back the X-Men though. Because in this world, Hugh Jackman's like, there is no X-Men.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
the
I
point
just
wasn't to bring
thought
them back.
there was a lot of good pulls from.
They did it right.
The original movies, like
they didn't have too many.
Sabretooth and.
Yeah, they didn't have too many, which is right, or we'd have stopped enjoying them. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm glad you enjoyed it as well.
Although they didn't get what's his name, the football player that played Juggernaut in the original movies, from all the Guy Ritchie movies. What's that name of the football player who turned into an actor? Whose name? Oh, come on, they're all.
Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones, thank you. No, Vinnie Jones. They had a different actor.
Right, I just didn't spot any.
Last thing I'd like to say. This movie basically confirmed what I think a lot of people had suspected as well, that this Blade movie, the new Blade movie, which has been in production for a long time and has been having a lot of difficulties. I think they've been through 2 or 3 directors, and apparently Mahershala Ali, who was cast as Blade, 7 years ago or something. They've done loads of reshoots, and he is now looking to get out of it with his contract. I think his lawyer's involved. And this movie had Wesley Snipes say, there'll only ever be one blade. And then Deadpool looked at the camera. So I feel like that's Marvel Studios saying, yeah, that you're never getting that movie.
Okay.
It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, 7 years,
Yeah.
I think, is an appropriate amount of time
Which
to
is
kind
like-
of can something.
What a way to announce it.
I so didn't get that line because I didn't know any of this was happening. I was just like, all right, Wesley, calm down. But anyway, thank you for listening. Let us know what you thought about the film. Interesting if it's like getting kind of polarizing reviews, Dave said. I'd be interested to hear them.
I don't read reviews before I watch a movie, but I do glance at star rating. We don't do star ratings, but I love to just see, and it was all 1 stars or 4 stars. So I think it depends on how you feel about this movie. But
It would depend on how you feel about the other movies as well, though. It's all so layered
I
now.
think so. I think it works really well. Like, but that's what it was, the end game of 20th Century Fox superhero movies. That's what it was. It was basically
no one
that.
knew that, but no
Yeah.
one knew that though. So you weren't kind of teed up for that either.
Yeah.
And I think if you're just in a mood where like Ryan Reynolds was annoying you, this would not be the film for you. Like, of course not.
But I had
Don't
all
come
that
here.
back. I was a different person before I went into that movie.
This
and
film
the
changed you.
movie made me very happy. So
Good,
and
I'm
I'm glad it proved me wrong.
Anyway, we shall go, and while we have had 2 weeks off on our main feed going to cinema, of course the Patreon never sleeps, so we have continued to review House of the Dragon over there. We do so weekly. We're just about to review Presumed Innocent, which we've just binged on
Yeah.
Apple TV Plus with Jake Gyllenhaal.
We are also 2 episodes away from The Boys season 4. I know it's finished. We're catching
still,
up.
Yeah, we're still catching up on that as well. So loads of good TV on at the moment. We're chatting about that all over on our Patreon, patreon.com/the Cinemile. And if you join, you get the first week free, and then you can cancel with no obligation. So head over and listen to all the TV chats. And we're having so much fun talking about House of the Dragon over there.
You also
With
get a
our
retro
listeners.
movie every month. We just did Beverly Hills Cop, the original, first time watch.
Yes.
And we'll be doing another one very shortly.
Right, bye.
Bye.
Want to do some cocaine?
Hey, cocaine is the one thing that Feige said is off limits.
What about Bolivian marching
They
powder?
know all the slang terms. They have a list.
Even snowboarding?
Even disco dust.
White girl interrupted?
Even Forrest Bump.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yes.